Okay,
So
moving on, we have Barcelona. So one thing I wanted to speak about Barcelona is that they have been on a very decent to good run in the league. They won the league last year convincingly, and I say convincingly because they won a lot of games that they were not exactly supposed to win. They grinded out victories again with their backs against the wall. They managed to win a few games on the streak, and that's how they won the league. But Barcelona in the UCL, on other hand, has been as colorful and eventful as a Greek tragedy. Nothing was happening for them. Nothing good was happening, and they went from Champions League to Europa last season. And this season, I don't think they'll be going to UCL. But again, they lost to Shakhtar 1-0. And one pattern that I think I've been finding in common with a lot of the teams that tend to do well in the league but tend to go down in the Champions League is that they are pragmatist teams. So let's not mistake Barcelona of old. They used to play musical football and tiki taka, and they passed their way around opponents. But Barcelona under Xavi, could we can say that owing to circumstances because of the reduced transfer budget and because of the players available for him, has been more pragmatic than anything. Xavi sometimes he plays a three-man defense with Koundé as a wide right centre back, and his primary concern has been getting the 3 points in the board without conceding too many goals, and that is not an approach that has fared historically well in Champions League. One classic example would be Antonio Conte. So Antonio Conte, he was mighty successful in his reigns with Juventus in Italy, and he was winning the league convincingly every single time. Even with Chelsea, I mean, that was the last league title we won, and we beat City convincingly to it. He was doing well in the league. But every time an Antonio Conte team went to the Champions League, they had the occasional victory, but then they were never really threatening a spot in Champions League. And I think it's mainly because the formats that used to play in CL, you have to be a bit more aggressive. You have to take more risks. You cannot keep your cards close to your chest. You have to play your hand. You have to play hardball. I think that's been missing from Barcelona, and I think that's something Xavi as a coach should look at. So instead of taking a more pragmatic approach like he does in the league, which works very well over there, he needs to be a bit more adventurous, let's say, in Champions League and take the game to the opposition a bit more. Play your cards early into the game and hope that it works. So I think that's been missing from Barcelona. Over to Kriska. Kriska, you think you have higher expectations of Barcelona in Champions League? Where do you think Barcelona would ideally finish this time around?
I think I would expect a quarterfinal run. Uh, that would be the bare minimum for me, given the squad. At least the team you have on paper, the likes of your Felix or Levin Disney, who has shockingly been a shadow of his former self, where those players were to come back to form and say we have Pedri come back to full fitness, I would expect us to at least challenge for a top 8 in the UCL. The most concerning part about the current run that Barcelona is in is I can't really put a pin on what is not working for us, right? Because it's the same team that a month ago it was uh, cranking out 4-0, 5-0 wins, and we were all like, hey, Barca is back. And it's literally the same lineup. Can a couple of players going out of form have so much effect that you go from a 5-0 to a 0-1 against a Shakhtar Donetsk? I don't know. So this is why I have all the more respect for Postecoglou and what he has done with Tottenham, because that's a system. He's not reliant on players or form. He has a drill that is working for them. I don't know
I
what
would say
Xavi's
Savi
role.
also. No, no. I would disagree. I would say Savi has a drill. He has a system, and I think it's a problem within the system because his system is drilled in a way to dominate mid-tier and lower-tier opponents and edge
Grind
out
out
victories
1-0
against La
victories.
Liga
Yeah.
clubs. That
Hmm.
is not an approach that has worked in Champions League. In Champions League, teams like Liverpool, teams like Real Madrid, they tend to do better than teams that are more focused on controlling the
I'm
games and getting a
yeah,
result, because these teams, they just go out there, they take blows. In Champions League, the best approach I think is to trade blows, get hit
fire
but
versus
hit
fire.
harder, and that seems to work. And Barca haven't been doing that. They have been they have been guarding their face a bit too much. They have been pulling their punches because they don't want to get hit. So I think Xavi needs to be a bit more risky in terms of the approach
Yeah.
that he's taking, because in even in the group stage it might get you across, but once you hit the knockouts, Champions League, it's decided over just 180 minutes. League, on the other hand, is a journey of 10 months. So the approach has to be different. But I think coach like Savi, he's doing the same mistake as Conte. He's trying to take the same ideas, the same system, the same tactics that works
Like
for
a
him in the league.
Chelsea 2012, or even to
Why do
an
you always
extent
have
Chelsea.
to? Yeah,
Hey,
Chelsea
that was a
2012 is a
compliment,
different case.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I,
even
I
your
did
most
not listen.
recent
I
Champions
heard
League
Chelsea
win.
come out of your mouth and I was instantly offended.
Assumed it was an insult by default.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. Honestly, I don't have much to say. Maybe if we had Dave, he could have ranted more. But I have a very, it's love, but it's very detached relationship. So I'm not gonna get too much detail into how much the whole defeat and the general run of form is concerning, and what it's doing to my mental health, right? So I'm just
I
gonna
wouldn't
stick to
say
cricket.
it's concerning as long as you don't,
It should,
just
man. It
don't.
really should. It's the identity crisis that's my problem. Like you
Fair.
can't go from 4-0, 5-0 to the opposite of it and not know what is going wrong, right? Yeah, I think I've said that a couple of times. With that, we'll move on. Thankfully, Cricket Australia and WWE have been holding the weight that Barcelona is crumbling on. So I'm just gonna watch those and be at peace and just check out Barca score lines and be happy with the late winners and equalizers. That's good enough for me now.
So
So that's the main headlines from football. And unless you guys want to talk something about, grown men
you sound you
acting up
sound like
in
a
underwear.
football reporter, somewhere from Europe, reporting to us. VS, but we'll take that and we'll move on to wrestling.